We'll go ahead and call the special meeting on Thursday, March the 3rd, 2011, Public Safety Committee to order. And we don't have any minutes to approve for this meeting, so we'll move right on to the agenda. First on the agenda tonight will be the Correctional Work Center report and budget. Superintendent? Doing good. You doing all right? I'm doing wonderful. She's on the way. Okay. We'll go ahead and do the report first.
First page reflects the yearly report, but pretty much covers the monthly census. You see, still averaging right now. It's still around the 175, 180 mark. The other thing there, interest, the programs still going good. GED programs, religious programs, doing great. Incident reports, disciplinaries, they still about average. That's about that.
Anybody got any questions on the report?
People, yeah. You haven't had any female inmates in about 4 months or 5, something like that? Is that the way I'm reading that?
No, we've had female inmates. Oh, you're talking about the...
That's felons right there, that F is.
Yeah, the F is the felon.
Felons?
Right.
Oh, okay. And I thought that, whoa, I thought felons...
We're not supposed to have any felons out there.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's what that means.
Oh, okay. All right. But it seems that you're pretty low on people overall. I mean, it's dropped down some because...
Yeah, that's overall on
the last couple of months.
Right, and that's December and January. December especially dipped, but from January on to present, we've been averaging about 180 over there. And it doesn't show February and March on this report, but we've been averaging about 180 the past couple of months. Second page is the work crews. Crews are still going steady. That you're going to start seeing a big jump this month to pretty much the end of fall because the weather's getting better and a lot of crews are getting ready for their spring and summer special projects. And so just had a meet today with Solid Waste and Army Corps of Engineers. They got a big project done on Jefferson Pike. They want us to help out with cleaning up that area down there. I didn't know it was that bad of a mess down there, so we're going to get started on that actually as early as probably this weekend to help them with this project here. It's going to be a big project.
Was that the problem that I know we had down there before?
But we cleaned it up about a year ago.
Yeah,
It's just maybe the same area. I mean, it was, we took off.
Right, from 840 to pretty much into the town.
Yeah.
Right. The same
area.
Yeah, they said it's going to be, but it's a lot of us going to be working together on it. Solid Waste, Town of Smyrna, the Work Center, Army Corps of Engineers.
All that's inside the city of Smyrna.
Pretty much, except for a little, right. There's maybe less than a quarter-mile stretch that might be county into 840, but
Does the city actually go in there and do any cleanup themselves?
the city, right, the city's going to be part of the meeting. Like I said, they were all part of this meeting, and they're going to be doing Town of Smyrna is going to be doing a lot, a big part of this.
So you're talking about getting down near the lake there?
We're not gonna go that far. See, that's what we gotta watch out for, is we can only deal with the situation, and which is pretty much, we're probably gonna try to institute the DUI people, because they can do state highways, and then do some of our own work crews to help out.
Yeah, because you can't get off on the,
We can't get past that, because some of it is private property, identified, and we can't, I told them we're not gonna be able to do anything with that. Any questions with that one? And 112,500 is what we estimate we saved. That was the January report. The February, the same thing, crews. If you look, day for day, February was a shorter month, of course. Pretty much staying steady, except for the shorter work days because of the calendar. And that was 105,000 estimated saved there. And the state little pickup for December. And that's going pretty good also. Collected 2941 for December. January is 3280. And with the weather getting better, these little pickups, we should be getting a lot more revenue off that.
On the litter pickups on the highways, if we used to get a report to show what streets y'all are picking up currently or just picked up, you still do that?
But the main thing now with solid waste, actually, that's under their umbrella, we still do the report to reflect what the inmates are doing, and but if we want to break down the streets, I can always get that from solid waste.
Well, I get calls from constituents asking, hey, when are they gonna come over? And, I got a couple here, I'm gonna hand you.
Oh, yeah, by all means.
But, they just kind of wondering, about the rotation. That way I can kind of tell them, hey, well, it should be next month, it's on the next one, that kind of thing.
Okay, I can get with Mac Nolan with solid waste, and we can pretty much, get a rotation and present that monthly. That's not a problem.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Next, there's the board meeting minutes. Biggest part is I'm presenting some amendments that we discussed at the last board meeting, and everyone should have a copy of those.
anybody have any questions on his report? If there's no questions on his report, I'll entertain a motion on his report.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
And a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, motion is carried. That's the budget amendments here.
Yes. Requesting to move 500 from the medical dental services line 340, 500 from that, 4,000 from the drug medical supplies line 413, and 2,500 from the gasoline line 425, and requesting to put that in the maintenance repair billing line 335.
What, do you just have some additional
Repairs,
that you
right.
didn't anticipate?
Some in the kitchen, we've had a couple of incidents where the dishwasher went down, we had to buy a motor for that, or our oven door was broken, so we had to replace that, and then there's a little odds in there and stuff. And also, That's 5,000 in that line, and then add 2,000 to the maintenance repair equipment, 336. And the same reason, just had some repair issues that came up with washers and a couple of dryers.
We've got two,
Let's take them separate.
you'll take them separate, except one of them's under everything's fund balance?
Yeah.
All right. You heard the request on the first one here, for the $7,500.
Motion to approve it.
Got a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. All right, any discussion? Hearing or seeing none, call the roll.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones? Yes. Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Commissioner Peay?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Farley?
Yes. We'll do the next one.
Next one is utilities, because of increase in electricity and gas. We're trying to make sure we have enough to cover for the remainder of the fiscal year. So we're requesting move 95,000 from the unassigned fund to the 452 utilities line.
What caused it to be so short, 95,000? Just the increase in utilities?
Well, last year we estimated, it was going to be a little less, so we didn't put the cushion we had the year before into it. So then, of course, things went up, and
Right.
so that's why, really.
Anybody else?
Yeah. Well, it's 50% more. That's what catches me. And I would just assume maybe we just take part of this right now. We've got, 4 months, and he's still got 48,000 in it, as opposed to all 95,000 that he's requesting go for.
And it was it's a cold winter too.
Yeah.
Maybe if we have a mild spring, maybe that,
We won't need it all to go in.
that's why it was so high.
Is it 48,000? He's got 4 months, so that's a third of the year. And right now, he's used up 152,000 in 2/3 of the year. So
Well,
the 95 and the 48s,
that's probably not 8 months, that's probably no more than 7 months, because these utility bills sort of lag a little bit, so that's probably about, I don't know for sure, but I'm sure Elaine and Lisa have computed that pretty carefully and annualized it, but
what does that mean? We're
we
gonna
could,
see
I mean,
more of those?
the next few months should be a lot better than the last
Yeah.
three few months, so it shouldn't continue at the same high rate potentially, so you may have a point there.
Well, why can't we just do 50,000 this time? And then if it doesn't, and then look at it in, April or
That's
something
perfectly
like
fine.
that.
That's no problem.
Yeah.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion
I'll
that we
second it.
increase it 50,000 from unassigned fund balance.
So the motion is, everything here be the same except for the amount will be 50,000 instead of 95,000.
We
And I think,
we got to pay it, but
That's reasonable.
I'd like to look at it, and see how it goes.
Mr. Page, you second that?
Right.
Okay,
I got a question.
all right.
Coming out of the workhouse, correctional work minutes, they approved the 95,000. Did they discuss it or?
Oh, yes. And based on this, because of the cold winter we had, and we seen we moved so far, and how much we actually use to this point, and what, now true, we could adjust it based on what the weather's gonna be like from now until the end of June. I mean, we try to just get that extra buffer, but, I mean, I don't know, I think this 50 might be a reasonable amount to
At
last
least
us.
just to look at, too.
And we can always come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need more, it's like you said, I mean,
That's
it's a
right.
bill we'll owe, we'll pay it.
All right, we got a motion and a second on the floor, any discussion? Hearing or seeing none, call the roll.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones? Yes. Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Commissioner Fee?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Farley?
Yes.
All right, guess we got something on your budget now, is that all you got?
Yes, that's all I have.
All right. You want to go ahead, you got a total amount over last year was what, about 69,000? Is that, am I,
That's correct.
okay. You want to just go ahead and which line items may have been increased and
Okay,
and then the commissioner may have another question on some of the others.
yeah, the first, line, if there's any kind of difference, is 196 for in-service training. That went from previous, what was in there, 40?
We had
45.
4,500
We're
last
increasing
time.
that to 6,000, and that's because with the accreditation process and just keeping up with the training with our staff, we just figured just adding another 1,500 would be suffice for the next year budget.
Okay.
And next one, in line with the accreditation, line 320, dues and membership. That's the ACA, the American Correctional Association, with that, getting that accreditation process to get the audit and to be certified for them to do for the organization to come to do it, it'll be 15,000 we'll have to pay to get that done. And once again, I think I mentioned before, that puts us in a status of being running a facility in the best it can be. It's only less than 5% jails in the country under that criterion, so we're just trying to make sure we run it at the highest we can.
What does that do for us?
Helps us get grants. Anytime lawsuits come up, a lot of times federal judges look at that and see that we're under that accreditation and throw out those cases. So it's like running yourself at an elite level. It's not our way, it's not the state way, it's the American Corrections Association way. And it's highly regarded worldwide, actually.
So you're saying it definitely does have positive benefits
Great
to get?
benefits, yes. It does.
It will affect it and improve the whole operation, the professionalism of all the staff. The whole thing will just be at another level.
Well, just helping prevent lawsuits by itself, really, it's probably gonna be well worth the extra
Yes.
money we're spending there.
The extra money.
Next line will be 336, maintenance and repair service equipment. We went,
And buildings both right there.
right, that's what we did, we combined.
We're past warranty periods and now we're having to actually do some repair out of our own expenditures, so you can see that. That was part of his last budget amendment here where we had to,
All right, so we increased that one to 15,000 from 10,000.
from 10 to 15 and from 5 to 10.
10.
Both those.
Let's see. 418, because we combined it, we just omitted that one. And 425, the gas line. We went from,
You actually got a reduction there
because
because we're not spending near as much on fuel.
So we went from 16 to 9, so we just decreased that line. And then 431, law enforcement equipment.
Which number you on?
431.
431, law enforcement supplies. Well, we're keeping that at the same, which looks like that's adequate. We haven't actually spent quite half that much through 6 months.
Increase utilities for 50,000, which we just got through doing another one.
Yeah, we've got that at 250, and if you had approved the whole 95, it would have put us at 295, so
Yeah.
250 is about what you've approved with that $50,000 increase.
And that's it, as far as any changes.
Well, you need to go back to the beginning to really talk about the primary changes in those two, the community sanctions part there. When you look at the two positions there in 115 and 160, we have postponed putting in the community sanctions program for 3 years or so now or more, and we think we're stabilized to the position where we could actually do that now. Initially, we had thought it would take probably 5 new positions to make that happen, but we believe there's a reasonable expectation that we can, since we now have female prisoners in there in small numbers, we could put them in half of the community sanctions areas and use some of the current staff with an additional sergeant and 1 additional correctional officer, and actually put the community sanctions program in place. So that's where the real change is right there.
Which line item are we talking about again?
That's 115 and 160.
So how many additional personnel is the budget increasing?
2.
Two.
One sergeant.
One sergeant and 1, right.
But
What will they be doing?
Well, you might describe the community sanctions
Right.
process.
It's a work release program where the individuals actually keep their jobs in civilian life, and when they're not working, actually will be detained at the Correctional Work Center.
Okay.
They go out on their regular job, and then they'll come back and stay nights and weekends at the center.
Right.
But families are allowed in, is this the one where families can come?
No, I mean, the families have no more access there than they do to any other part of the building.
Right. And all this starts with the court system, when they'll petition the court, you know, first time offender or whatever, I have a job, you know, may I, you know, enter a work release program, you know, being at the county office one, and then we'll screen them also from that point. And then once we do the screening and see if they're eligible to be part of the program, then we'll work out a schedule with their jobs, and the jobs has to be in line with it also. And payroll and all that is also worked out, because everything has to be deducted. And we control the whole payroll system. It's really kind of intricate, but it's a good program, you know, so they can keep their jobs and be productive in society at the same time.
Does it save us anything as far as the housing part of these folks? Or-
They actually pay for that to be in the program. So, you know, we will be generating revenue from that at some point. We'll start seeing some kind of, you know, turnaround on that also.
Well, of course, it will help offset the cost of these 2 more positions. I'm just wondering how much you estimate that might save.
We don't really know. I don't really think we're going to generate a lot of numbers initially until we get this program. It'll take us a while to get enough people identified that really, you know, probably can participate. So if it were $20 a day, and you know, that might be the most that we could probably get out of their room and board, you might say, that we would get reimbursed. So we probably shouldn't count on really very much money the first year or so.
I mean, it sounds like a good idea, being able to allow them to keep their jobs and still serve their time there.
But plus it helps to collect, you know, their probation, you know, fees and all that also, because it's, like I said, they're still being employed. And all that is taken off the top before they actually even see any money for themselves.
Is the court system approved the program and whatnot? I mean, have y'all gone to them to?
Yes, a lot of the
Okay.
stuff was approved before. It's just, you know, they, for a lot of budget reasons, whatever, they never really.
Budget reasons, we just never pursued this before. In fact, we needed time to get stabilized out there with the actual operation itself. This is a unique kind of approach, so we put this off. It's sort of at my leadership 4 years ago, so we just now at the point we think now where we could probably really professionally do it.
If someone is, has got a job and they're in this program and they have health insurance, we're not going to have to provide their health costs while they're incarcerated, are we?
No, well, that's something we'll have to do.
No, I mean, that's
Research
something between
on.
that individual and that employer. We're not the employer.
I know what I'm saying though is, now, if someone's incarcerated, we have to take care, if they're sick, we have to pay for it.
Oh,
And if this person is in this program and they've got a job and they've got benefits,
Mhm.
and they're coming and paying their time, you know, their health insurance should pay for their health costs instead of us having to pay it because they're incarcerated. It's,
quite honestly, we hadn't thought of that question. That's
Yeah, that's a great question.
That's important that we would follow up on it, but we don't know the
you
answer.
know,
I know if they're a veteran, they lose the benefits going to the VA hospital if they're
If they're
incarcerated.
incarcerated.
is that right?
Oh, yeah, that happened a few years back. That hit us pretty hard when they did that, in both the jail and workhouse. There's a present from the federal government there, so.
We get lots of those. But this still, the guy's still working for that employer. It's gonna be up to the individual employer, I would think, or.
Right, to keep them employed, right.
Yeah,
Right, like I
and,
said, they all have to be,
if the
everybody has to be in
benefits-
agreement for this to work. But a lot of employees love it because they get to keep, especially a lot of times it's one of their best
Yeah.
employees that's involved in the program.
And they can be pretty assured that the person's gonna show up too.
It's true.
Judge knows that. Well, I have to ask one more question, then. I look and I see utilities going up 50,000, excuse me. The two, maintenance of the building and equipment going up a total of 10,000, so that makes 60,000. The line item 160 for guards is going up, what is it, two, yeah, 160 is 40,000 going up, so that makes 100,000. And then 35,000 going up in line item 115 makes 135,000. And I see that over on the bottom line says this year it's to be 3,300,000, and it's only to be 3,369,000 this last year, and I don't see the reductions coming in to make the difference between 135,000 and that.
Well, let's look at the
I'm missing it somewhere.
Look at the amended budget, line item number 790. We've amended in an additional expenditure this year of $85,000
Okay.
for some security equipment, and we're spending that money this year, and we won't spend it again next year. So that's just sort of an aberration that made it look like that, okay?
Okay.
Any more questions on his budget? If there's no questions, what is the recommendation from the committee?
Motion be approved.
Motion to approve
Second.
and a second. All right, discussion. Hearing or seeing none. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? It's unanimous. All right, anything else?
No, I'm good, thank you.
All right, thank you. Next on the agenda is juvenile court. Judge Donna Scott Tefferson.
I was following you, I was.
I didn't, we never got to that.
We got there.
Welcome.
Commissioners, y'all are familiar with Magistrate Key System. Right along with us this evening also put a face with our contracted services, Magistrate Adam Dodd. So he's also joined us this evening. And I believe you have a copy of my budget in front of you.
Actually, your budget is roughly $24,000 increase.
Yes, sir.
And all of that is basically routine just because of the step increases, et cetera, and all the attendant benefits. The only real thing she has any increase in is line item 399.
And that's for, I guess, the increase in hours for the magistrates and stuff.
But not for the magistrates, but
For Magistrate Dodd.
Okay.
He's working now almost 2 days a week, some weeks 3 days a
Okay.
week. And we've had to set up an office for him and a computer, and we just got a lot of business.
And there's a lot of caseloads in juvenile court.
It's our emergency petitions of the abuse cases.
Yeah.
We've already done 4 this week, and today's just Thursday, so we've done 4 this week.
Make that 5.
Oh, did you do
One
one
came
later
in
this
late.
afternoon? Okay, 5 this week. And that's about and they're entitled to a hearing within 3 days.
Right.
And that's where Magistrate Dodd is a huge help, that he comes in and hears those preliminary matters.
Anybody have any questions?
I got it. Just no, you told us about the hearing for juveniles in 3 days, and just go over that procedure. It's only been around like 2-3 years, maybe?
Well, on abuse and neglect, I'll get the phone call at 2 or 3 in the morning, or they'll call during the day, or a private attorney will bring a petition where we have a child that's in need of protection of the court. And if that immediate urgent need is there, then you have to have the order of the court to place that child in protective custody, either be with the state or a relative or whoever is trying to come in and take care of the child. And our statute says that they have to have a hearing within 3 days, not to exceed 84 hours. So it helps us a little bit with holidays and weekends. So it was ex parte, it was one-sided. I got one side of the communication, one side of the story. And from that, if it's urgent and it's immediate irreparable harm, if we don't protect the child, then they have a right within 3 days to be heard on that. And that's just dependency and neglect. That's not all the other emergencies, but that's the one that really causes us the urgency, is those 3-day hearings.
Thank you.
Anybody else? If there's not, is there a recommendation?
Motion to approve the juvenile court's budget.
Got a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second. All right, discussion. Okay. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries, Ms. Sanders.
Thank you very much, Commissioners.
All right, next on the agenda, the district attorney's office, didn't see.
The district attorney's not here.
Okay.
And we, since there's really no change here, I told them they probably could not have to come tonight.
All right.
They chose not to,
So it's status quo budget?
Status quo budget with one exception. You'll note that there is an additional amount for employee insurance. So the employee that's in this department is now elected to participate in our insurance, which we have to honor. So that's the only real difference in the other.
Do you have the copies?
Oh, sorry about that. I'll have to, no, I didn't make copies for it. That's my error. Excuse me, please.
Yeah, but basically, yeah, it's a,
What's the difference between this year and last year?
Yeah.
About $15,000 and about $12,000 of it is in that health insurance.
Okay.
That's all that.
And the rest of it is in a step increase in the other benefit increases.
I'll make a motion to approve.
do we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
And a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, motion is carried. All right, next is the domestic violence. How you doing, Ryan? Good.
Budget. We have a statistical report if you want to look at that.
Okay.
Set that way in, this way.
I got the last one.
I want to look at the statistical
We'll do the report, we'll do the report first, be fine.
Those are two good.
I think the one thing that might be confusing about those reports is that the number of docketed cases, that means the number of cases that the staff actually works on day to day. It's not counting a case one, the federal grants require you count a case one time, no matter how many times it's in court. But that just is a good reflection of the amount of work that they're doing with just me and 2 part-time staff members. And then I put some of the local and law enforcement information from the TBI on there too, so you can get some perspective on that.
Is a domestic violence incident versus domestic violence arrest just where they've been called and somebody's complained, or?
Right, the incident numbers are the reports of domestic disputes and where they actually made an arrest and it came to court. That's the other number. So it's a problem in Rutherford County and all over for sure.
It'd be interesting to see our commissioner's district. I wonder if that follows the ambulance service.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
And if you're interested in statewide reports, I have some of those too. I don't have one for everybody, but I'll leave it here for you if you want to look at them. TBI report and the.
Anybody have any questions on the report?
Motion to approve.
Got a motion, do we have a second? And a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries on the report. Next, we'll do the budget.
The budget is same, all of the budget is covered through funds that are collected through offender fees and grants, so none of the budget comes out of the general fund at all.
And it's only about a $5,000 increase from last year.
Right, and that is, there's a step increase for the DA, and the ARA grant is ending, and this allows me to keep the 2 part-time staff.
Anybody have any questions on our budget?
Are your part-time personnel working more this coming fiscal year?
It's now it's the same as 2 Ag at $15 an hour at 20 hours, or 25 hours a week. I'm sorry, there's a typo on there.
Anybody else have any questions?
Motion to approve the budget.
Got a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
And a second, our discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Drug court, the report, and the budget.
This is what was wrong. That's why I asked that.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's like more than a step. Something fishy.
Mr. Farley, congratulations. I'm so jealous of you.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to retirement.
I'm sure you are, as you should be.
I'm not old enough.
I got 26 years to go.
Oh, my gosh. Isn't that depressing? Has everybody got a copy that needs a copy? Okay. On top is my report, my monthly report. Nothing in particular to report about that. My numbers do a little bit over.
A little bit what?
When I told you 75 this morning, we're not quite at 75.
Oh, okay.
But we're getting there close. I found out this week that we're the 3rd largest drug court in the state of Tennessee.
Yes, sir.
Behind Shelby County and not Nashville. I can't even talk.
And we're not even the 3rd largest county in the state of Tennessee.
No.
Is that just because we have such an awesome drug court?
It is.
We're not going to say that that's because we have so many DUI offenders.
No, we definitely don't have any more than anybody else does. We're identifying them and getting them in. So, we have a good team, good DA working with us and what have you, so, and judges.
Anybody have any questions on Lee's report? If not, we'll entertain a motion on the report.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion has carried.
Okay, now the budget. You want me to explain it, or you want to go for it?
It's yours, let's go, Brian. I'll help you.
Okay. The budget's a little bit higher and a little bit different this year. The first thing I will make notice of is my secretary, Linda Wilson. Last year, her salary was covered by the ARA grant, and of course, that's going to be over on June 30th. Our support foundation, our 501c3, is willing to pay $15,000 of her salary if the county will cover the rest. Next, the part-time personnel, that was Kay Haskell in our DUI court. She has been working 20 hours a week. We are asking her to increase her hours to 30 hours a week so that she can start doing a less intensive outpatient program is what it's called, and I'll get to that in a minute. Her salary was covered last year by the foundation because it was only $16,000 and they covered that, but this year she'll be covering more of that herself, we hope, but we'll get to that in a minute. The only other changes is this licensing. We are going to get licensed by the state of Tennessee to do a DUI school and this less intensive outpatient program. These are revenue producing classes. And we think, if you look at my revenue sheet, we think that we can easily do $61,000 next year in revenue, possibly up to $100,000. That's if we get really, really, really good.
Because there's not, is there any of those around here anymore?
Yeah.
There are.
Across the street.
Oh, yeah?
Well, that's not licensed by the state
The
of
DUI
Tennessee.
school's not?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Not that people can't go there and throw their money there, but it isn't licensed by the state of Tennessee. Providence has a licensed one. The Swain Center up in Smyrna is licensed.
Swings.
Okay.
And will be licensed. So there's not to say there's not other people with the same idea that are in the process like we are, because you have to, it's a little bit of a lengthy process, but we hope to be up and running by July 1st, if not before then, because we have to get CPR training, first aid training, TB tested. Marcus is already trained in the DUI curriculum that is required by the state. He is licensed by the state to do this curriculum that they're now requiring. I'm going to be getting trained in it in April, and I found out that the training is free. The state is paying for it.
Good.
So that's about $900 we're saving. And I think my assistant director, Angie Hosteller, will also be trained in it so that we can, you know, take turns each month doing the DUI school.
How would you bring in that much revenue? What's the cost of the class for?
The DUI school, just for a DUI 1, is $125 for 12 hours, and then the state requires you to do an assessment. We'll charge $75 for an assessment.
Now, is the court system going to require them to go through yours, or?
No, they have a choice.
Okay.
They can go anywhere they want. We have been working with the district attorney's office for some time now on offering something to first offenders, first violation of probation, reckless endangerments, things that the DUI program doesn't cover and the drug court doesn't cover. These are people that are in trouble, but they're not in serious trouble yet. They're just starting out in the criminal justice system. So we have developed this less intensive outpatient program that we've presented to the DA and we've presented to Judge Lowry and Judge McFarland, and they all want us to do this program. It will cost $325 for a 10-week program, and again, an assessment. The state requires an assessment to be licensed. You have to do that. So it'll be an hour-and-a-half to 2-hour class for 10 weeks. It'll be given by a licensed alcohol and drug counselor, which is what Kay is. And hopefully this will keep them out of trouble in the future, you know.
Do they still have to serve their 48 hours incarceration? If they go through the drug, DUI school?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So-
that's
so,
all part
okay.
of the law. They have to do the DUI school, they have to do the time. And the DUI 2 and DUI 3 also have to go through the school and do their time.
Okay.
So, and there's more school time with each DUI. The DUI 1 is only 12 hours, but the DUI 2, I believe, is 16, and I forget what the DUI 3 is. It might be 24. So this curriculum, this Prime for Life is set up for each one,
Okay.
so,
And is this required to go through a school to get your license back?
yes. And Tom Jackson told me that they do a minimum of 50 DUIs a week. Now, that's just all DUIs. That's not DUI 1, 2, or 3, but all DUIs. And another 50 cases a week that would qualify for this LIOP. And we are the only ones doing the LIOP, so when they order someone to this LIOP, they will be coming to us.
So if you do 10 a week times 50 weeks, say, that's 500 that would go through.
10 people?
People, yeah.
Mhm.
That's 500, and you get, say it's on the low end, they're all the first-time offenders, so that's $300. Is what the 2 fees are for the assessment, right?
And
They-
the,
It'd be $200.
$200.
For the DUI
Okay.
school.
See, I knew there was something wrong with the math in there. But still, 500 times 200 is,
$100,000.
which is way over
We're
your...
not gonna get, we're trying to take a very conservative approach here. She had some numbers, she's projected some numbers, and we've used about 50% of what she thinks might happen.
Well, I'm comfortable with it as long as it's not gonna, like I said, where they have to only come to yours, because there are a couple other businesses in town, and I don't wanna hurt anybody's livelihood
no.
on their business.
And in a way, we all kind of cater to a different crowd as well. Providence only offers theirs once a quarter, so they probably get maybe the 2s or the 3s. I really don't know. I think you talked to Mr. Hollis, but his people are usually in a hurry to get that done so they can get their license back. So offering it once a quarter probably isn't the best business plan. You know, we're going to be offering it once a month. The Swaim Center, I believe they pay $300 and go up and do their weekend and get their school at the same time. So they can knock out both things at the Swaim Center if they can afford that. So, you know, it's different.
I want you to note, I mean, this, last year, if you'll note on this revenue sheet here, county general fund, to balance this budget, it's $80,000. That's, I think, the same number we used last year.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, we made a commitment even last year to, because of what we thought the importance of this and the impact that this was having on lives, to make an investment. That $80,000 is our current investment. She doesn't have enough revenue to support that. And the $61,000, you know, hopefully we get more than that, but if we don't get that much, we're making a commitment to really invest more than $80,000. So I want you to be aware of that, and we're just going to do the best we can to generate as much revenue as we can, but we'll have to keep you informed on how that's progressing.
And if any other grants come up, which I have identified a grant for the fall, but we don't have it yet, so I can't put it
Yeah.
in here, but it's a pretty sure
The
thing.
availability of these grants is getting more and more difficult.
It is, it
And,
is.
Getting ready to be gone.
Mhm.
and over the next year or two, yes, you could be right, there may not be anything left. So it's a real struggle, but those of you that have attended some of these graduation ceremonies and can see 6, 7, 8, or 9, 10 of these ladies and gentlemen succeed, it's worth it.
Well, what it does, it keeps a person, for us having to incarcerate them, and that incarceration cost is tremendous.
Yeah.
And it
Well,
gets someone's life back in line where they need help and get back to their families.
And we had a professional evaluation done last summer that proved that our recidivism rate was much lower than people that just go through probation. So we are stopping that cycle of going to jail, getting out, committing crime, going to jail, getting out. So I believe our overall recidivism rate was 11%, and at the jail it's about 80% in this county.
That's for graduates, right?
For graduates, yes. And even the people that didn't graduate, it showed that the recidivism rate was lower,
Okay.
which really surprised me.
So, the time they were in, they might have been helped.
Right.
Okay.
And I know we've talked about, and I'll just throw this in because we're talking about it, this cost-benefit analysis. I was at a meeting of the drug court coordinators this week, and the cost-benefit analysis that the state is trying to develop for each of the drug courts should be completed by June 30th. So they're developing a template, and all we have to do is punch in our individual numbers, and then we should be able to tell you for sure what the cost-benefit analysis is based on our recidivism. So I'm really excited about that and looking forward to presenting that information to you because I think it's going to be very positive.
Any more questions on her budget?
Motion to approve the budget.
Second.
Motion and a second. All right, any discussion?
You just want to ask, I'm not so familiar with the Drug Court Support Foundation.
This is a foundation, a 501c3 that we started back in 2002. And they have an annual fundraiser for the past 7 years. It's a 5K race that we do called Rally for Recovery. And the last 2 or 3 years, they've raised about $20,000 with that. Plus, it enables me to write these grants to other foundations, like Customers Care and, well, the city of Laverne gives us $3,000 every year, which is really nice, but they only do that to 501c3s. And this grant I'm talking about in the fall, that can only go through a 501c3. So it's opened some doors for us. So over the years, especially last year and this year, they've been in a position where they can really start helping us with operating expenses too, which has been just an incredible amount of help. Plus, we have the transition house for women and their children that are homeless in our program that they support. So we've had that for 3 years now, I believe. So this has been something that has just been invaluable to us.
So do they do, it says drug court, is also part of the DUI?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
so-
yes, yeah. We kind of roll it all into one anymore.
Good question, Commissioner.
Oh, the LIOP, you said that was,
Less intensive outpatient program.
okay.
I know
And it
that.
was 325,
Uh-huh.
and y'all will be the only one in the area that does that?
Yeah, Pathfinders used to do it, and everybody used to go to Pathfinders, but they closed down their Murfreesboro.
Is there any other opportunities from other counties sending folks here for that too, or? I mean, because it would be revenue for us without, you know, I don't know if that's something to look at too. That might help out the cost, like the mayor said. I don't know if that's the only thing around that does it, or something else.
There might be something in Nashville. I don't know. I don't know. I know there's nothing else here in Rutherford County.
It might help to advertise to these adjacent counties, let them, their court systems know that you offer.
Actually, I'm thinking, Cumberland Heights might have something, an intensive outpatient program up on, I want to say Nolensville Road. That is probably the closest one to us. They used to have one in the Smyrna Guidance Center, but they don't have that anymore.
Anybody else? What's the recommendation on the budget? I said, we got a motion in a second, okay, we got to talk a little over, I forgot.
It's because you're getting old.
I'm getting old, that's why I'm retiring.
You better retire.
All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, next one, I've got in front of you is the Paul's report and budget. And also, while he's coming, get Mayor Burgess to introduce our new director.
Okay. We're pleased that we've been able to get Mr. Michael Gregory to join us here in Rutherford County. He's had 7, almost 8 years of experience as being the animal control director in Bedford County, and even some of his previous life, he was I guess you could say a veterinary assistant, so he's had a lot of exposure to animals, degree in animal science, I believe, from MTSU. That's correct. And he started on February the 22nd, and he got to jump right in the middle of a very complex budgeting process, and it's been pretty remarkable what he and Amalinda and Cindy have been able to do as far as help him through this and help us work through this. So you're going to be very, very pleased to see the proactive vision that we're proposing to take place here, and I'm going to let him just take you through here. So he's really got his arms around all of this, and you're going to see that we're having some an opportunity. So y'all going to start on the report first, but then we'll go into the budget.
I'm sorry, yeah, do the report first.
First of all, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that Tracy really helped out to make the transition easier by doing this report, and really sat down and spent a lot of time before I actually came on to the payroll, working with us on the budget to get me up to speed, and also the supervisors as well.
And before you get going there, I want to say this. I had the fortunate, I was fortunate to be able to be involved with Mayor Burgess, and also Sonia, the HR director, and I can't think.
Interviewing.
No, the other lady,
Goodman.
Ms. Goodman.
Yeah, Delia Goodman.
And we interviewed this, and we also, I know you were involved and you interviewed, and I tell you what, we've got some good employees out there. You do a good job, and I've heard a lot of good stuff about you. And we got our director now is not that Tracy wasn't, but Tracy did a good job. But I see some good things happening out there, and looking forward to working with you and you all as well as the supervisors as well. So Rutherford County is in good hands when it comes to animal control, in my opinion.
Thank you for those kind words. To start the report, first of all, for the month of January, we had 499 intakes into the shelter. You'll see down below that, as far as our outcomes, we had 37% overall that were adopted out, 58% were euthanized, and we had 1,996 people visit the shelter looking for a lost or a new pet. Over on the second page, you can see that as it's broken down by jurisdiction, we had 1,003 calls that were received and 1,013 calls were completed. And then down at the bottom there, we also, our mileage was 9,798 miles for the month. The third page of the report is going to be our year-to-date. You can see there again that we've had 4,778 intakes through the first 7 months of this fiscal year. You can see again at the bottom that we've had 26% adopted and 66% euthanized, and almost 15,300 people had visited the shelter at that time. On the fourth page there, you'll see, of course, again, it broken down by our calls received, 8,600 calls received to the shelter, 8,688 calls were completed, and we have been over 75,000 miles during those 7 months.
Sometime when y'all get a chance to, your zones there are kind of confusing to me. If you bring a map in showing those zones, I would appreciate it.
And then on the last page of the monthly report, you'll see that our, this is our rabies report. You can see that we handled 24 bite cases for the month. 9 of those were tested for seropositive. And then over on the right-hand column of that, you'll see the other exposure. We had 4 with 2 tested, and none were positive as well. This report's a little bit different than the other reports that you received, because this goes based on the state report, so it starts over in January. It goes a calendar year versus fiscal year, like the other does.
Anybody have any questions on the report?
You had average about 650 intakes each month during the year, yet this one was only 500. Is it just January's cold, it's a slow month, people are going to keep them for a month after Christmas or something?
During the months of start ramping up in typically March, April to around October is going to be your busy season because of puppy and kitten season, as we call it in this business. And then as the cold weather comes on, you don't see quite as many puppies and kittens. So we call this our slow season, but we're ramping up because it's fixing to hit us hard.
Those puppies grow up. Is that what you're saying?
Well, they start being born, so that's where you start seeing a lot of issues, especially on cats. During the cold weather months, they don't come into heat. So as warm weather starts coming, they start going to be getting pregnant, producing offspring, and we really see numbers there grow.
And that's where you see your packs of dogs and collection of animals.
Okay.
In comparison to Bedford County, I think they say is where you
Yes,
feel
sir.
from the euthanasia rate versus an adoption rate. Did you have anything similar? What was the percentage there?
I used what I called with Bedford a get-out rate, which included our adoptions, our release to rescue, and we worked with a program over there called Rescue Wagon, where they transport animals. What they do is they transport animals from areas that have a high euthanasia rate to areas where they have done a great job of spaying and neutering. They actually need animals, which is typically up north. It's run through PetSmart Charities. So we had what I put all those things together and called that our get-out rate of the shelter through the front door versus the back door. When I left, I think we were running around 58%, if I recall, on that get-out rate. But there's a lot of different factors that go in there. Our number one contributor to that number was the rescue wagon, because they were taking anywhere from 30 to 40 animals, a month.
Would there be a possibility of starting that here, or you thought that far ahead?
I have thought that far ahead. At this point, there's a lot of unknowns. I have spoken with, even though it's funded by PetSmart Charities, it's actually run by a 501c3 called Humane Strategies. Actually, my last week at Bedford, they came out and did a shelter site visit. I was able to talk to the gentleman there. And it's something that if we're able to work into, I think they would definitely be interested. It also opens up some other things as far as some grants and some other issues there. But at this point, I don't know enough about the program at Paul's to know if that's going to be feasible or not. It's a lot of work to be able to do that.
It just seems to me that we have a lower adoption rate and a higher euthanasia rate than what we should.
I think with the
It's pretty
comparison
comparable.
to Bedford, what they take in, I think annually, we
It's a
take
lot
in 2
different.
months, so it's a bigger
Right. It's a
city,
lot
a
different
bigger
ballgame.
county, it's a different game to go by.
Obviously, our goal is to get out as many adoptable animals as we can, but we also have to couple that with our main mission as public safety. And
Well,
that
anything
kind of
coming
thing.
out is going to be spayed and neutered, so you're not going
Correct.
to be adding to the population.
Correct.
That goes without saying, so.
Correct. Yes, sir.
All right, any more questions on this report? Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the report.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
A second.
And a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. All right, you got it.
I don't know that if you all have this. This is a budget amendment that we have. I don't know if it's on the agenda. Basically, on this budget amendment, what we were asking to do is take, I believe it was $17,500 from our donation line item and move that over to be able to increase our part-time line item, our Social Security line, and our employer Medicare.
$12,702 they've got in some donation accounts that they want to use to
Okay.
pay some
I'm sorry,
part-time
it wasn't
benefits.
17. I'm sorry, I gave you the wrong figure. It's much lower than 17,000.
It's all in his budget. Anybody want to say this?
Say it's 12,000?
$12,702.
He's received donations for
Yeah.
it, is what it.
Just whenever you do it, if you'll just bring copies that way to have everybody that.
Apologize for that.
You didn't know, so don't bother with it.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget amendment.
Got a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
And a second. Discussion? Call roll?
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones? Yes. Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Commissioner Peak?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Farley?
Yes. All right, go with budget now.
Well, first of all, let me preface by saying this. It was brought to my attention a while ago by Cindy that line 186 actually shows a $50 increase in longevity, and I have out there my explanation that it's a decrease, so I apologize for that. Our budget, as you'll see, we are asking overall for a decrease, and I'll explain the reason why that is, and that should make sense, hopefully. First of all, you all can kind of tell me if you want me to go line by line, or if you'd like for me to go increase versus decrease.
Since it's a decrease, we can start and go off the lines that you decreased.
Decrease, okay.
Well, let's
Well,
go.
we can,
It looks like you decreased the size of the font.
we don't have well, first of all, we had to, because we don't have a way to print on legal paper.
May have to bring that up to my office.
Mayor, did you have a request that you wanted to?
Well, I don't know. We'll just draw your attention to a couple of things. 707 and 790. 707 are some building improvements that are in this current year's budget. We're going to do those things this current year, so they won't be needed next go-round. And the same thing with that $50,000 for equipment, et cetera, which he will explain to you a bit more. We're going to use and spend that money this year. And the only new money in capital is going to be $15,000 for that washer and dryer. So that's where you get $115,000, or basically a net $100,000 in savings. But we're going to ask you to increase that starting at the very top. So, Michael, you probably need to tell them, we've been really, you know full well, most of you, that we've had in our budget for about 2 years now a veterinarian position, which we've not been able to fill. And we're very, very hopeful that we can fill that. We've interviewed a vet from, just coincidentally from Bedford County, that's has expressed some serious interest, and they're going to have some final discussions with him hopefully Monday. So you're going to see the increases that we have here in these salary components are really going to be the vet plus the vet assistants and one other person. But in any event, the vet has been in here heretofore, so that's not new in that respect. So we'll let him go from there and just sort of take them down and talk about the attendance when you get to 164. The other things up there are just normal step increases.
Correct.
But when we get to 164 and some other things that are related to the vet, there'll be some increases and some decreases.
Starting with the line 164, we're kind of doing 2 or 3 different things there. The first thing that I have asked is that we reassign one of our officer positions to be a position that's going to be kind of an adoption/receiving lead position. Right now, what we're doing is we're having people flow in and out. They may be working adoption today, maybe working receiving tomorrow, cleaning cages the next day and whatnot. We want to make sure that we give overall the best customer service that we can at those 2 places. Those are folks, first of all, coming through receiving. They're bringing an animal to us, saving us money having to go out. So we need to give them the best experience we can. And then ultimately through the adoption, we definitely want people to adopt our animals. We want them to have the best customer service. So what we're asking to do is reassign one current officer position to this lead position that would be overseeing the adoption and receiving areas to make sure that everything there, information that's being given out, customer service that's being provided is going to be the same, to give some more supervision there. The second part of that is we are asking for one new in-house position, which would be the animal care specialist. That's like a 22, I think 170 position. We currently have 2 animal care specialists, and then we also have our part-timers. By adding this in-house position, we're going to try to maintain our current levels on our part-time funding. We have 3 stations, technically I guess almost 4, in the office that have to be maintained, which is going to be our receiving, 2 at adoption, and technically kind of a dispatcher, which that kind of floats around right now. So we're asking to add one new in-house to help alleviate some of those problems there. And then the third position, the second new position, but the third position, because we're reclassifying the one position, is to be a vet tech that would do nothing but work with the veterinarian. We are seeking to hire a certified vet tech so that when the veterinarian is not on site, they would be able to work without him, under him, as far as being able to do rabies vaccinations and do things so that we can provide services for the hours that we're open. If we hire a veterinarian, we can't ask them to work 6 days a week, since we do adoption 6 days a week. And the veterinarian that we've been talking to has definitely expressed that he needs to have someone back there that's trained, that's qualified, instead of having somebody bounce in and bounce out and him having to retrain all the time. We need somebody that he can work with and kind of mesh with so that they can bounce off of each other. They know exactly what the other wants and those kind of things to make that a very smooth operation. So that's the reason that line item has gone up. We feel that at this point we could reassign the one officer position I talked about without decreasing operations out in the field. But we really want to ramp up and make sure that we provide the best service we can. I think this is going to really push us towards that.
There will be enough spay and neuter operations that they will be more or less full-time busy with this vet tech and the vet.
I will say this. I mean, I think that's a good idea. And if for some reason, I mean, I can only speak for myself. You know, if it gets to the point where it is hindering by bringing that person inside, and it's hindering the outside operations, I'd like for you to come back with the blessing of the mayor as well, to look at it, because that way, you know, I know y'all get a lot of calls and we send a report, and, you know, sometimes a call waiting, you know, could be a serious situation out
I
there.
understand. Right now, we're having, though, because we don't have enough people in-house, we're already having to pull officers every day in-house. to work on
So
that.
it's actually caused a shortage anyway now, right?
This is a daily thing that we're going through, so this person would be permanently reassigned in-house, that we could free up somebody to get back out on the road.
So it won't cause a staffing problem on the outside
I
operation?
don't believe so. And the other part of that is, and Rena and I discussed that with her being the field supervisor, my very first day, I went out on the truck because we had officers tied up in court. I went all over the county picking up traps. Neither one of us are above going out on the truck. And if we were to get behind, this person, obviously, being an officer previously, would be somebody that we could throw back on the truck and put out if we had to.
Okay,
So we've got some flexibility there.
sounds good.
So line 169, I put in there that we're controlling that expense there by adding this new in-house position. Of course, I told you about my mistake on line 186. Our next increase is going to be at line 189, this other salary and wages. That's the salary line item for the veterinarian, and per HR and the mayor, that's been increased to the amount that you see there.
Will this be a part-time veterinarian, full-time, or
It'd be a
full-time?
Full-time, yes, sir.
They're receiving the same pay grade as the director, or department head. Is that the
Yeah, that's the same money.
Yes, sir. That's what.
same step
Just
system?
turns out.
Yeah, and I think it's good we can find someone with experience like that at that price.
Yeah, it really is.
Of course, you can see that, of course, by adding those a couple of positions and whatnot, of course, your our benefits actually went down a little bit, but your disability, retirement, social security, whatnot, did have a little bit of increases there. Our next line with an increase is going to be line 334, which is our maintenance agreement line. We increased that one around $900 just for, we anticipate, based on our pest control, on our security systems, those type things, we expect an annual increase there. Next line is line 338, which is our vehicle repair line. We are not asking for a new vehicle this year. I will go ahead and give you a year's notice that we are going to have to get onto a system to where we're replacing a unit every year. By moving this officer position inside, we'll be able to take our oldest unit, which I think has around 190,000 miles on it, and put it into more of a backup position, and the officer that will be moving in, their vehicle will be reassigned. But we do anticipate, due to the age of the fleet, that we ask for an extra $1,500 there. We did have with, it was either this budget year or last budget year one, I don't recall, we had to put a transmission in, and that would eat that $1,500 up immediately. A decrease in line 340 with medical and dental services. That line was typically, from what Tracy said, used to cover if one of the inmates that had been working there had gotten injured, so we decreased that down. Your biggest decrease is going to be line 357, which is your veterinary services. This is the line that pays for our rabies vouchers, our emergency care vouchers, and our spay-neuter vouchers. Of course, you're going to pick up some of that back down in your drugs and medical supplies. We left $3,000 in there because obviously we do have to give the veterinarian time off. If there are emergencies and whatnot, we wanted to make sure we were covered for the emergency vouchers to still be able to use those. Line 399, other contracted services, that amount went up due to the new contract that was signed for our dead animal removal. The contract went from 65 to 75,000, and it is locked in for 5 years. Line 410, which is our custodial supplies, we're asking for a $2,500 increase there. I've got some ideas that I want to work on changing our cleaning protocol a little bit, and that accounts for that increase. Line 413 is the drugs and medical supplies. The increase there that you're looking at is going to be because we're going to have to purchase the materials and supplies that's going to be used by the veterinarian: needles, gloves, sutures, drugs, all those type things there. Line 435, we're asking for a $1,000 increase there. That's going to be, currently officers don't really have forms to where they can leave copies with residents and post their properties and whatnot. We're asking to get some forms that would be for the entire department as far as notice of actions, complaints, and whatnot. These are duplicate forms. That way they can leave one at the house, but also put one in their daily file for us to keep up with. Our next change is just communication equipment, which we're just asking for a $200 decrease there. And then down in 790, as the mayor talked about a while ago, well, let me back up, excuse me, to 707. The building improvements, we're going to try to get those done this year so that we won't be asking for that next year. And then down in line 790, the $50,000 that's set aside for the other equipment, that's going to be the veterinarian's equipment, which we anticipate purchasing before the end of the budget year. We have left $15,000 in line 790. We would like to use that as we get into the budget year using our donations. Right now, we currently have 2 washers and 2 dryers in all different parts of the building that run from 6 o'clock in the morning to around 8 o'clock at night. And there's still every day baskets sitting around waiting to go in the dryer and whatnot. My suggestion was, why don't we see if we can get one of these big commercial type washers like you would see at a jail, hospital, whatnot. They can hold, 70 to 100 pound loads so that we can really start moving that laundry through, and probably can anticipate a decrease in our utilities as well. Those dryers, like I said, running 14 hours a day, I'm sure that's not helping our utilities. But we're asking to be able to use out of our donation line to do that part.
Any questions on this budget? If there's no questions, what's the recommendation?
Well, I've got one. How many vehicles do y'all have?
We have 2 office vehicles. We have an office car. We have an office flatbed truck. I don't know that I'm going to do that count. I was thinking more than 9.
9 probably for flatbed.
Okay. Probably somewhere 10 to 11 total vehicles.
Okay.
And like I said, it's not accurate on that. I did go through all the vehicles and do mileage counts and whatnot, but I don't have the exact count for you.
You said that you're anticipating in revenue $428,000 this coming year.
Yes, sir.
Okay. By next month, could you bring in what you've actually received for this fiscal year so far? Just as a comparison, to see.
Yes, sir. I will go ahead and say by that this number is lower than what we had, what had been anticipated last year, but I will get you what we're running right now. And then also this one does have some changes as well, because instead of us having to, collecting the money for the vouchers and whatnot, and we're gonna, that's gonna change. Plus, we also anticipated some revenue based on having this veterinarian here by, offering microchip services to animals that have been adopted. If they choose to do that, they could pay the extra money for that. We also anticipated being able to do some rabies clinics, March and April of every year. All the veterinarians do that. We anticipated setting out a block of a couple hours every day and some Saturdays to do rabies clinics there at our office. The public already, knows that where do you want to go for an animal. We'll bring your animal and get a rabies shot. Plus, also come inside and, hey, take a look around. We want to increase the traffic flow there. So we anticipated some revenue from things like that as well. So this revenue is going to be a lot different than the other, but I will be more than happy to get figures from finance for you.
And I guess this may be more for the mayor. When we're talking utilities, we just got the new unit situated out there at Pause for the condensation, that we had the problems with, and it's in now, and have you been able to tell, it's got to be helping? I mean, that...
Well, it's helped. The primary thing they were concerned about is the moisture content of the air and the odor that was there, so it's made major improvements in that.
But it's got to be, with the exchange of the air and the heat with this one now, it's got to be helping on just heating and cooling when the time comes, I would think.
I don't know about that particular, but you may be correct.
I can say that the first day that I came over and met with Cindy and Lena before I came on, just as a member of the public coming in and viewing the facility before and looking through Adoptable, when you open the door, you could, I mean, it had an odor. But one of the first things I told Cindy was I could tell a difference when I came in then, because it doesn't smell to me like what it did within the last 2 to 3 years. I think that has a lot to do with our cleaning protocol, changing up a chemical there to where we have a deodorizer as part of our cleaning. So I think smell and air quality wise, I think we're moving in the right direction.
Any more questions? If there's no questions, anybody got a recommendation?
Make a motion to approve.
Got a motion to approve, is there a second?
A second.
And a second. All right, discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion has carried.
Yeah,
All right, thank y'all. Mayor, you got anything?
Want to do three first?
Is there,
Ask the mayor one thing.
huh?
Can I ask the mayor
Yeah.
one thing? Who we've talked with so far the other night and today, and today's the one I'm seeing us, we're increasing right now with the recommendations here 4 people over last year. That was 2 in Correctional Work Center and 2 in PAWS.
That's correct.
Okay.
Is there any more questions? Is there any other business? All right, I guess,
I just want to say, I appreciate Commissioner Young being kind tonight. You're welcome. Last meeting.
well, he said he's
Calmer,
gonna be,
cooler.
he said he's gonna be a little nicer than
Never
that.
looked
He'll be-
nicer.
I'm disappointed. I want to see some action.
I think the only budget in public safety that we lack is the sheriff department budget. And I think that is going to be scheduled for the end of this month, regular meeting. And so that's all the budget we lack. So with that, we'll see that at the end of the month.
Would that be the only one on the agenda?
The only
Budget.
budget.
But everybody else gonna make their
But
report.
everybody else has a report. All right, if there's no other business, we stand adjourned. Thank y'all.